Hello everyone. You can hear? Okay. So let's just get started. I think thanks for the intro. I'm the founder and the CEO of BHIVE Group. We refer it as group. Just to get a slightly better context, right? Co-working space is one of our companies. While we are also building, finance vertical, which is BHIVE Capital, which is ultimately building it into a real estate group. Considering the topic, the hope is to build a real estate empire. I guess the topic we will really look at is from idea to an empire. So I'll try to see, whatever I can tell you from my own experience, I can put in. I think to start with, if you really look at the question of idea to empire, in my own experience, ideas are important and useful, but I think the purpose can be much more important. A lot of people overvalue the idea. I think along the way, quite often, whatever you're doing, whether it is company, whether you're trying to do an NGO, it could be many different things, or an institution, the idea quite often can change. But remember, the purpose is much more important. See, purpose is what will ultimately give you the drive. So really, if it is about building an empire, so let's take that as a topic, wherein there's an empire, there's a kingdom. I would kind of say at a certain scale, you can call many institutions or companies as a kingdom, and maybe at a certain scale it becomes an empire, right? Like how we have seen it in history. There were a couple of really big empires that have come in. I will try to draw in some analogy for that as well. And primarily, let's kind of take, I think if it is a lot about my own experience, considering that I have built a private limited or a for-profit company, a startup. It started as a startup in a much bigger scale. The best would be to take, example from BHIVE itself, how it all went. The first thing would be, let's take a case of, if you would want to see how does it apply to you, and to people whom you know. I think what is important is to understand, what you want to be. You could be a founder of a company, for example, or any kind of an empire, or you could be somebody who plays different role and enables it. At the end of the day, everybody cannot be a founder. If you see, everybody couldn't found an empire, right? In fact, you take any empire, for example, for example, one of the most famous empires, Chandragupta Maurya, right? He built Maurya Empire. But maybe Chanakya was a key enabler. But as you go along, there were so many other people who were part of it, without which there is no way they could have built. So one is, you need to know what you want to be. While today, I think a lot of people think it's quite fashionable to be a founder, but it's not that everybody can be a founder. Everybody doesn't have to be a founder. So one is to know what you want to be. It may take its own time. If you don't know today, don't worry about it. And let's say whatever path you're trying to take, fundamentally, in my view, what is most important is for any person to know at any given point, right? The given point in time, for a lot of you, you need to know what do you care for. One is, I can say, what is the purpose of your life, but a lot of times, honestly, I also don't know all the time, but I think any given time, I know what appeals to me, what matters to me, say next 5 years, next 10 years, I would say. And also what I would have thought in 20s might have changed when I was in 30s, might have changed when I'm in 40s. And today I'm building a for-profit organization. For all you know, when I'm in my 50s or 60s, I'm building something else, right? Or I'm actually working for something else, which may be non-profit, or it could be an education institution. So one is that you need to know what is your calling, what matters to you right now, because that's what can give you the highest motivation. And at the end of the day, whatever work you're doing on a day-to-day basis, if you really have to like what you're doing, it has to somehow connect to what is it that you care for. Once you know that, even if you take an example of, let's say, doing a startup, if it somehow connects fundamentally to what you believe in, right? Hey, you know what? You believe in making a lot of money, you want to be rich. Or you are like, hey, I want to improve education, while building a for-profit, right? For example, for us, it's like, creating a great work environment is something that drives me, right? And, can we give a great lifestyle at work? How do we make difference to the people on a day-to-day basis? For me personally, it's not necessarily about the money, right? Money is kind of secondary. When I meet somebody who says, hey, I met my co-founder at BHIVE. We have been at BHIVE. There's so much great things that happen here. My employees love being here. For me, that's what is more important. I'm like, yes, let me go and make something much better next. So I think that is something that is more important. And then, along the way, if you take it chronologically, one is, your own purpose. And let's say you're a founder, one of the next thing really is right set of people are required. Building that initial team, I think that makes all the difference between people. There are many people who have great ideas, many people with great purpose, but not everybody is able to make it bigger, right? Not everybody is able to take it towards being an empire. One of the biggest difference is ability to build a team. And when you say build a team, it's not, one is of course, how can you get really smart people to whatever extent. But I think what is more important than smart people is people who have a shared vision, and whatever the founder had the vision, whatever they were working towards, do have people with you who are above average. They don't have to be the most brilliant people in the world. Do they really see the purpose? If you see most of the revolutions, most of the big things that happened, not everybody was the smartest person. People have built political parties. There have been revolutions. Institutions like this has been built. Big companies have been built. I think all of these, the common thing is people who were there in the beginning, they were able to connect to what it is. Because the initial journey of any kind of an empire is always tough, right? Once it builds a certain momentum, it may be something different. So get hold of the right set of people who are able to share what you're doing. And it's never about money. If people are coming only for money, while money is important, people who come for money, at the end of the day, they may not stay with you very long, right? If they can connect to the purpose, you're building a hospital, for example, right? They connect to what you're doing. What is the difference you're making? That's when they're going to stay with you. I think that is something very, very important. Now, beyond that, at the end of the day, how can you build a small kingdom, things are working, but eventually, if it has to become an empire, if you really see through history, like I said, if you go for a Maurya Empire as an example as well, it doesn't become an empire in a day one. It's become something that is able to serve a certain set of people. It has to enter a certain kind of a virtuous cycle through which it is continuously grows, right? A company can be something where you have acquired customers. Customers really like, if you are a for-profit company, ultimately you have customers who are paying for your services or products. That is the only real proof that you're doing something that actually somebody needs, right? I can be saying I want to do this. I will do, the most brilliant car or anything I may think of. But ultimately, is there a product market fit? Do people actually want? If it is for profit, do actually people pay for it? It could be non-profit also, right? If it is non-profit, the ones who are paying can be people who are donating. Now, which also means that let's say you're building a non-profit. You have a certain purpose towards it. It could be spreading education. It could be about helping the disabled. It could be any different purpose. You need to really identify with the purpose. Do you have set of people to which your organization is able to serve? And what you're serving, is it making a difference for which you'll have a continuous set of donors who believe in what you're doing? Only then you can eventually continue to grow it. It can become much larger as an organization as well. And in terms of company, eventually what you're doing is a customer paying for it, if it is a for-profit company, and eventually, it's quite possible that despite customers paying for it, it may not still be making money. I know many of you are studying commerce, etc. As you would know, it has to sustain somewhere. If your investors fully understand that over a period of time, this is something that can become bigger and bigger and make money, because investors have come for their own motto, right? A lot of them, of course, they're connecting to what you're doing, but beyond that, they have to ultimately make money out of it. So I think it has to build that sustenance, and it has to reach a stage where there is a virtuous cycle, where there are customers who are being served, they are paying enough money. Their employees, at the end of the day, while they are happy and connected for whatever work they are doing, you should be able to pay them salary. While there are investors, you need to be able to serving them. While there are vendors, you need to ensure that their interests are taken care. Only then it can come to a stage, and of course the people with you, they believe in your purpose. So only then it can come to a stage where it starts growing bigger and bigger, and really I believe that if anybody is building something that can eventually be called as empire, that has to go beyond a generation in itself, right? It should be able to go beyond the main founder. If you are looking to build a lot of times, at least if I look at myself for BHIVE, I always told people, I'm not building BHIVE to just come to a certain stage and sell out and go. Of course, that a lot of people have such a motivation, there's nothing wrong about it, but obviously that is not a process of building an empire, right? They are kind of selling it out to some other empire, you can say, right? They are merging their own company with something else and they are moving on. But whereas I think I'm somebody who can say that I never started with with an intention ki I'll bring it to a certain state and sell it out. For me, that's why it's always important. I keep thinking all the time, how can this become an institution? How can it go beyond me? Tomorrow, let's say, whatever is the stage, maybe 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, I choose to do something else, or I'm not around for whatever reasons. Will this continue, right? For me, that's why I started writing, what is the purpose, core purpose of the organization? What are we trying to serve? What is the playbook? So that tomorrow, somebody else is trying to run this. There are other set of leaders. Can they actually understand this purpose? Can they take it forward? I think that is something I always try to think. And the hope really is that, it will continue on a virtuous cycle and it will continue to grow. And someday it will come to a stage where we can actually call it an empire. And for an example also, I would say there are many, you would also know, right? Sometimes I've seen this many times. There are political parties, not to really name them. Many times I see that there are parties that people would have built. In a way, a party can also become an empire, right? See, empire can be a political party, any kind of organization, educational institution, like a private limited, NGOs. It can be many different things, and countries as well is an empire, right? Even political parties, if many times I would understand that as long as the main founder is there, they will run. The smaller ones, I would say, the main founder is out, they may not survive. The reason is somewhere the main founder or the initial set of key people never ever thought of it, of making this into an empire and really documenting the key set, build the leadership. How could this go beyond me? If that was a larger purpose, if they really had a larger purpose that is beyond themselves, I think that's very important for the main core founders to really think about. If they had set it, hopefully they might have been going beyond, right? And I think a lot of times my own observation has been the ones who couldn't take it beyond an individual was because it was only relying on an individual, and they also never tried to think beyond that. So I think that is something anybody who's trying to really build an empire needs to have. Other key parts I would say is, of course, don't try to, I don't know if I would call a false empire, or sometimes what people do is, it's very exciting, to build a larger company, it's very exciting to build an empire. So what happens in today's world, there could be a lot of capital available for certain set of individuals. I think somehow they're able to reach a stage where there are multiple large venture capital funds which are willing to, let's say, finance a significant amount of growth. And a lot of them also come with this intention that, hey, grow really fast, because, from their perspective, if you grow really fast, maybe their idea is to stay with you for 2-3 years. There are honestly a lot of them, may not be everybody, but a lot of venture capitalists are not really there to come with you and build an empire and see this through for 15-20 years. Most of them are not like that. They have their own set of investors to answer to. They want to enter at a certain stage. Maybe they're having a 3 years outlook, 4 years outlook, 5 years outlook. At a certain stage, they want to see that you've grown to a certain revenue, you've grown to a certain size, and you've got a different valuation, and they get their own exit. Now, I think there is a situation it can create where a lot of founders get carried away and start trying to grow. If you're a founder who are trying to build a long-term empire, honestly, trying to just follow that path where you'll try to go crazily fast so that you can give to an exit to your own VC may not always work. I know, and again, not to name, you'd be seeing many companies around us. You would have thought one day, couple of years, hey, this company is going to become so big. They're hiring so many people. They're growing so much. They're there everywhere, right? They're kind of like a false empire for me, because it's very exciting to do that, and a lot of them were just being fueled, let's say by VC money or investor money, with a clear intention where they wanted to exit. They were never here to build an empire. Now the founder is thinking he or she is trying to build an empire, and then what happens? Many of them come to a stage where there could be a downturn. There can be situations where there's less VC capital. Someday or the other, economy always goes to such a stage where then people don't have too much money to keep rolling it, and everybody is like, hey, how can I take my exit? Where is the profit? Today many have seen such a situation. Then they start realizing, we never built a great culture. We never do people who are there, a lot of employees you added are only because they came for salaries. Who understands the purpose? Does the founder even understand the purpose? Did we even build the unit economics? Then they start realizing all of that. And sometimes what happens is that can lead to a downward spiral. And I would say, like I said, it could be seen as maybe it was like a false empire, right? Because it was never built on the strong fundamentals. And those, it's very important that even a great institution like this, right? I really admire this institution, has very strong fundamentals, very strong purpose. Whether you call it an empire as well, right? Because of those fundamentals and long-term view, it has got a virtuous cycle, because of which it is continuously growing, continuously serving, let's say, many of your students, may not be all. It is serving the students. It is able to, get its economics going. It is able to, I think all stakeholders are very happy, right? This is an example. You should really take this university itself as an example of how to positively build a great empire. And I think if you would, in your own life, once you identify what you want to do, you're kind of getting to a stage, where you decide what you want to do. Take these good examples. Look at those companies or those institutions, those organizations. Like I said, it could be political party or anything. Just think about it. Why did they exist for such a long time? Think about why somebody couldn't exist for such a long time, right? And also think about how one could grow. I think if you really look at it, you would get your answers, and go by real examples, and ultimately follow your purpose. Follow your purpose. That's much more important than any idea, and you'll really find your path. Thanks.